And then that's carnivore. That's like probably 60% of my food. It's like whatever I got in the fridge. So usually it's like White Oak Pastures, chuck roast, or and then a lot of fat. It's, I do a lot of the fat trimmings.
Yeah, I saw that. You tend, it seems like from what I've seen in your Instagram and everything, you're really kind of heavy on the fat. Do you know where your macros fall? Are you doing like a 70-30 split fat to protein?
I've tracked it. I usually land at like between 70. I usually do about 70 to 80% fat.
Okay.
Rarely do I go under 70% fat. So I'm pretty fat heavy.
Interesting, man. It's so interesting for like, body composition and everything, because what I found is I go into Clovis, like when I start everybody right from the beginning, I'm trying to just get them to a 30% protein intake. I'm just trying to get them there. We can discuss the levers of carbohydrates or fat or whatever, what people's preferences are if they're dealing with an autoimmune condition. So I take it on a case by case basis, but really just getting that 30% protein. But then what I've found in working in listening to guys like Ted Naiman is what seems to happen. Like, you have a very low body fat percentage. Anyone who follows you on Instagram will know this, So it's like, what I have found is if I'm at that like 11 or 12% body fat, let's say, getting under that, oddly enough, requires a little less protein and a little more fat. And then with an obese individual, I like taking their protein up to 40%, like the max threshold for protein. It's just the fastest way to dump body fat for an obese individual and kind of correct that metabolic dysfunction. But then everything changes the leaner the person gets. It's been really, really interesting because my diet's very protein heavy, and it's actually been quite difficult for me to get to that 70-30. I'm more like a 60-30. Well, probably like a 65-35 or something in terms of carbohydrates. But really thinking about that, because the rabbit hole I haven't gone down is actually buying like animal fats, like trimmings. I'll have like grass-fed butter or whatever,
I'm not a fan of butter. I'm not a fan of ghee, mainly for gut issues. For me, I don't do well with those.
We talked about that a little bit on the hunting trip. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to cook with organic, like grass-fed ghee, and like, no joke, I would throw like just enough on the pan to kind of like make a nice layer of ghee butter on the pan. And then I'd eat something, and I was with Paul and Kyle. We were shooting bow and arrows, and I was like having horrible cramping. And it was like 4 or 5 hours after we finished breakfast, same exact food as these guys. So it's very dependent on the person. But I think fat trimmings are like a total hack for people that is just like this hidden gem. And for individuals who are coming across the carnivore diet, they're hard to find, like, unless you go to a farmer's market or you buy them direct from the farm or the butcher shop. They're everywhere, but no one seems to be selling them in the mainstream marketplaces. But no gut issues, incredible amounts of energy, gets you into ketosis like that. And it's like, it's cheap. It's like $5 a pound for like this just creamy fat that you can just chomp on. So I think it's a game changer.
I want to check that out too, because I get all my meat from local farmers. I've looked into like White Oak Pastures and things like that for ordering the fat. But when I went to my local farm here, I was like, hey, like, I want to buy organs from you. And he was like, what? And he was explaining to me that the only people that buy organs from him, it's for their dog food. And I'm like, dude, I'll take all your organs, like just whatever you got. So he's been giving me like kidney and liver and tongue and heart, and it's fantastic. So I'll run that question by him about the fat trimmings. That'd be really cool.
Oh, you should get them, Justin. You'll love it. I think
I gotta try that.
It's probably the biggest cheat code for keto people, because keto would be amazing if people could do it in a way where it didn't cause gut issues. I just think that most people are dealing with gut issues on keto.
Well, I would say I've been telling people this for the last year or so, literally because of the growth, the explosion of popularity of keto. 99% of the new clients I get come to me because they did decently with keto and now they feel really sick. They're just like, I'm just doing terrible. I don't know what happened. I plateaued. I feel it's the same thing as vegans, where they're just like, yeah, I switched from standard American to vegan. I feel great. Here I am a year later and you poke me and I have a bruise for 6 months. Like there's just their whole body's broken. So that I definitely want to you try to go down that road. But it's interesting that you say too, that the fat trimmings, so you can get into ketosis pretty quickly while eating these fat trimmings.
Well, they're all fat. I mean,
Yeah.
your
But I mean,
entire
are you
macro.
combining it with protein, or you're just like chewing on these throughout the day?
So no, not throughout the day. So to kind of round out, like my, I usually do the breakfast, and that's about 60% of my total calories. And then I do a 40% dinner.
Okay.
And it's like usually about a 70-30, 75-25, fat to protein. So it's pretty
Sure.
heavy fat. And then I don't know, I'm probably like 8.5, 9% body fat right now.
Yeah.
I'm leaning down for the summer months. Gotta get
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
suit, you know,
Gotta do your thing, man.
Get shredded. But yeah, the fat trimmings are a big part of that. I mean, I went and did a field harvest with Rome Ranch people on the way back from our hunting trip.
I saw that, yeah.
They took out the bison and like literally they threw all the guts in there, and I grabbed a kidney. I grabbed a huge, probably like 2 pounds of liver. Wow. And then I took probably like 5 pounds of fat off of those offals that they were tossing. And I was like, this is awesome. And it's just this yellow material, you know, we didn't see much of it on our deer that we got.
Yeah, but we ate a ton of it. You guys brought that White Oak Pastures fat, so we were chewing on suet like every day. It was really enjoyable. I liked it, man. It
gives you great clean energy, and you get the vitamins, and you don't get any gut issues.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk to you about, because you said this on a podcast. So one, I want to dig into your testosterone experiment, which is really interesting. That was the first podcast of yours that I listened to after we met. And you kind of blew me away, man, because one, your body composition's ridiculously good. And I don't know what your physical activity looks like. I want to ask you about that. But something that I've been toying with in my head is that like breaking that 10% body fat comfortably without me really putting in a lot of effort or sacrifice seems to be pretty difficult for me. And it's because I was a musician for 10 years and was drunk 6 nights a week, literally. It was like, I did not take care of my body, and I'm still dealing with the after effects of that.
Alcohol and sleep, right?
Exactly. But what I've seen is I think you were saying like your caloric intake is like minimum 2,800 calories or something like that. And dude, like when I track, it's like, I'm lucky if I hit 2,100 calories, and I'm training jiu-jitsu. I swing heavy ass kettlebells. It's like I'm in the sauna every day. Like, so, I mean, I train every single day. I do some form of like intense physical activity. So I'm wondering if I'm not like significantly under eating, you know?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I haven't done a lot of experiments outside of myself.
Sure.
I think my intake right now is probably about 2,400 calories. So it might not be quite as high as the 2,800 you suggested, but it has been that high before. With the testosterone experiment, it was really interesting because I was doing OMAD. Yeah. And I did that for 2 months. Paul ordered labs. We did my testosterone. It was at 315. And I was like, well, that's not good. That's like pretty much at the bottom of the range you want to be at for a 35-year-old. And, you want to be more like 600 or 700, that's like real robust. And then what I did was I was like, screw this OMAD. I don't want to, do 1 meal a day anymore. I can't get enough calories. I was eating like 1,800 calories. Yeah. I'm about 155 pounds. Yeah. I don't do a lot of activity. I mean, I guess a lot is relative. I'm not an endurance athlete. I don't train heavy. I don't do like the workout regimen I have, 6 days a week. I do something active for about 45 minutes. That's it. I do heavy lifting twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. It's typically every third day. So 2 days off. And then I do a third day where I do heavy lifts. I also mix in some deadlifts. So I guess technically I might do heavy lifting 4 or 5 days a week, but deadlifts, what I do is a few different calculated things. I train my upper body because I think it looks sexy to be broad shouldered, have a big full chest as a guy. Absolutely. And you're just not going to maintain that unless you push a lot of heavy weight in the shoulders and in the chest. So that's pretty much why I go to the gym. Otherwise I would just be walking around doing some sprints, playing some indoor soccer, outdoor soccer, snowboarding. I would do all the kind of activities I like to do. I do think like lower body is kind of genetic. Like, a lot of some of it is genetic for sure. But I have like a good proportion just from my lower body. I don't have to worry about like doing a bunch of calf raises to keep my calves like proportional. Like my legs, me neither. I'm lucky. We're lucky. We have good legs. Yeah. But my lifting routine is pretty simple. It's I follow Kino Body. I think I told you about this, and it's just reverse pyramid training. And I do typically 4 or 5 sets of incline dumbbells or like incline chest press. And it's usually around 5 sets at if it's individual dumbbells, for me, I'm at 158 pounds right now. I'm usually doing 80s. And then I kind of posted about Mike Thurston. I follow him. He's the bodybuilder, and he just has some really good tips on like how to do the motion.
Yeah.
Because Kino Body will give you like the reverse pyramid stuff, which is basically the idea that you load heavy and then you work your way down. So you do you do like 6 reps of like your max weight, and then you do 8 reps at 80% of your max weight, and then you do 9 reps. So I'm usually like right around six reps each set, because I'm going like 80 pounds for 6 and 6, 2 to 3 minute breaks in between. And then I do push pull on my upper body. So in those 2.5, 3 minute breaks in between each push set, I'll do like a pull, like a pulley or like a pull up, and I'm hitting the back. And then what I do with that is I do 3-second negatives and usually a 1-second positive. And I'm trying to get like a 1-second positive with a hold, and then a real kind of slow reverse. But then on the legs, because I have really big legs and I can't wear jeans that are designer jeans if I start doing deadlifts and I do like a lot of heavy lifting. I actually do the opposite. And this is something I heard on Tim Ferriss when he interviewed Ryan Flaherty. He was talking about, Ryan Flaherty works at Nike now, and he works with athletes to help them. He used to train combine recruits and get their speed up. And his whole approach was he had like a strength, I think it was called a force ratio that he really coined. And the idea was that your force ratio is your max deadlift, hex lift, not deadlift, hex lift, trap bar. It's the max weight you can pull on 3 reps divided by your body weight. And his goal was to get that ratio as high as possible. And if he could do that, the goal was basically build strength without adding mass. And then you could be faster and you could run faster. So in that interview, he talked about how you don't want to do negatives. If you don't want to do negatives if you're not trying to build mass. So to recruit strength, you go up fast, but then drop weight. And so for all my lower workouts, I try to drop the weight and then just focus on strength training. And then I like that because I get good testosterone pumps from lower body workouts. It's just recruiting so much more muscle mass. So I notice, like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night with the man flowing, like I'm just like, I get that energy jazz and all that hormonal pump and release when I do a leg workout. So I try to do that like once or twice a week. I'll do like a leg lift of some sort. And a lot of it's just lower weight, like just dumbbells in the hands, and then single leg split squats. And it's kind of like that training where you're just training balance and like the stability parts of your knees, and like it's all functional in that sense. But I mix in those hex lifts because I really like that power that I get from doing the concentric lifting and then just dropping the negatives on the deadlifts.
It's smart. Yeah. I remember that podcast in particular, and anybody who's ever really trained any kind of specific hypertrophy training where you're like, I'm just trying to get big. Like, I've done these mass gains experiments. Like, I once put on 12 pounds of muscle in 6 weeks just to like show that I could with like massive overfeeding. And what it was basically like a take on body by science, which is just like the time under tension just to complete failure. Works really, really well. But again, it's like your whole training day is 15 minutes. And then you have 2 or 3 days off completely. So that's the other thing too, with body composition stuff. I try to get people to explain to understand this conceptually, but it's just so difficult because of the no pain, no gain mentality. It's just this, like, if you want a better physique, you need to rest. Like, it's not done during the work. The work should be a very small little period of time. Like you said, 45 minutes a day. I mean, I think anybody can come up with that. I'm probably around something similar, 30 to 45 minutes. I definitely do a lot of intense stuff with really heavy kettlebells. But the core of what I do is, like, if I have no time, if I have 15 minutes in the day, then have you read Ted Naiman's book, the Protein to Energy Ratio book yet?
No, I haven't. Sounds like I should get into that though.
It's pretty great, man. But he talks about the way that he does training too. He calls it body weight demand training, which I love. It's just like, let's say you do a set of push-ups to failure, rest 20 seconds, another set of push-ups to failure. You do that to triple failure, and then you do an isometric hold, and then you do a really slow negative, and then you're done with push-ups. So I do that with push-ups, pull-ups, and or chin-ups, and jump squats. So this happens for me every day, no matter what. Like no matter what workout I do, I finish with that. So there's always like a push, pull, some kind of lower body, jump squats, whatever. But it's very, very glycolytic, but for very short periods of time. So yeah, I'm just trying to find, I mean, I'm torn between like, I love jiu-jitsu, I love kettlebells, I love training, but I also got, like you're talking about, it's like, oh, summer's coming up, man. Maybe I should mess with this. Maybe I should get down to that 8% body fat, 9% body fat. But I asked you about the calories and everything too, because, you know, we were together on the trip. We're like virtually the same size. You know, it's like we're very close in height. I weigh about 165 pounds. I'm definitely kind of a meathead, but I have that kind of stocky build, you know. But yeah, I mean, just that idea of being 2,400 calories, 2,800 calories, or anything up around that. And when you're optimizing for testosterone too, I tell people all the time, like if you're after hormonal balance, underfeeding is about the worst thing you can do. You know, so you want to eat more.
Yeah. Well, you know, to your point, that experiment, I bumped my testosterone. The next time we pulled it, it was 910, and it was the same time of day. It went from 315 to 910, and
crazy.
You know, I did a few different things, but the big things I did, I prioritized sleep a little bit better. And I added a second meal in my day, and I haven't gone back from that. So I do now 2 meals a day, unless I'm doing like a calculated fast. And I'm starting to play around more with that. I find it, I wouldn't do it, I don't think, for body composition. Yeah. I guess maybe I'm lucky in that my routine has really benefited me. I have gotten leaner over the years, and it's been pretty consistent where I've been in terms of body composition over the last decade or so. Yeah. But I do lift. I would say this, I'm not as functional as what you're saying. Like if you're doing jiu-jitsu and if you're doing these push-ups and things like that, you may have better functional strength than me. I'm kind of going more for the physique. And so, you know, I'll do the shoulder flies, which will round out my shoulders, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not the same thing as me going over to On It and just whipping around kettlebells and some maces and really building all the strength. So I wouldn't step up to a competition and say my strength functionally is the best it could be, but bang for buck, like what I'm looking for, I want to be healthy. Yeah. Lower body, I want to make sure it can handle pretty much anything. And then upper body, I kind of want to make sure I have just a strong kind of upper frame. And I do also do like abs, like just something like on the ground, like mat work, 15, 20 minutes once a week at a minimum. It could just be yoga if I don't actually do some sort of ab ripper type workout from like P90X or something, but some sort of crunching or planking has been really helpful for just because if you don't do that, you just don't have like those, you won't see the abs that come out from that.
That's the thing. Everybody wants to like cut fat for abs. I'm like, you still need to build them. It's like a bicep. Like if you don't build your bicep, you're not going to have a bicep. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've always been, so performance focused with all my training that it's been there was a period of time where I was just powerlifting and like all I wanted to do was just lift the heaviest weight. And I got my deadlift to 425 and I was at 160 body weight. I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I got in my own head of like, why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. So I went like anti-powerlifting and went to calisthenics. And I'm like, now I need to do handstands and I need to do ring muscle ups and all this. And it's like, I always have been so performance focused that I've actually never, and I've seen the Kino Body program. It's a great program for physique building, anybody who's listening and interested in that. But I've been kind of toying with that. I'm like, man, maybe I need to throw in like some, like, I just want to look good. Maybe I'll throw in some physique training. You know what I mean? Like, give that a shot. I've never really done that.
I mean, I think a lot of people that come into the health space are kind of like, I just want to look really good.
Yeah, of course.
And so if you can give them that, you kind of meet a huge piece of the market there. Right. And what Kino Body did really well was he's like, okay, here's a superhero physique. Here's how Hollywood celebrities train for this. And he really talked about how you build out your upper body if you're a man and you want to kind of really lean out your lower body, especially a shorter guy like me. it doesn't look good for me to have big, stocky, wide legs. I get really, really short then.
Look like a rugby player.
Yeah. I want to have, pretty lean lower legs and a broader upper torso. And then it looks better on film and it looks better on Instagram.
Oh, it looks great on Instagram, man. You're killing the game. It's awesome.